You're listening to Me and Paranormal You with your host, Ryan Singer. It's more fun to believe. Third year bonus.
You're not hearing things. I came in early and did an echo effect. Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's on one from the get-go. This morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. And that's it. What if I just said, let's pause real quick for some commercials, and then just came back and said, good night, everybody. Good night, Chicago. What if I just did that? Huh? What if I did that? Hello, this is Ryan Singer. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, Me and Paranormal You, well, welcome. Welcome to the void, friend. Welcome to the void. Welcome to your only source for paranormal information. No, that's not true. A plethora of paranormal information sources out there nowadays. Who are you gonna believe? I don't think it has to be so serious, does it? Does it have to be I don't think it has to be such a serious situation. In like who you're gonna believe and who you're not gonna believe. Is that what this is about? No. We are here to share our love and our enjoyment and our fascination with paranormal phenomena, high strangeness, the unknown, the liminal space, the supernatural, the mystical, the esoteric, and all things otherwise outside the scope of normal, and even sometimes normal things. I was in Florida this week. I am not in Florida anymore. I am going back to Florida in a few weeks, as you probably know if you listen to this program, to continue an ongoing paranormal investigation at the location where I had the ever-living gadzooks scared out of me in May/June of 2019. 4 years ago almost to the day, minus 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. What I want to do this podcast as if it's film noir. I started talking about, if imagine me stepping out of the podcast, stage left and spotlight, everything else goes dark. I started talking about oh my God, a possum, the devil's beast. Just walked right by this window. I'm staring at it. It's late at night right now. So I started talking about, this Florida spotlight, me, stage left, film noir, podcast noir. I started talking about the Florida experience, and suddenly an opossum walked by, scaring me. An opossum? And then it goes film noir, like, he said opossum, when most people just say possum. Film noir. Now there's a third me in a different spotlight, further stage left. Why is he talking about how he talks so much? People are listening to try to hear paranormal information and entertainment. Infotainment. Film noir. A fourth me show. Oh, no, it just ran back. It was scared by something. I've never seen an opossum move so fast. Did I say opossum again? I'm saying opossum. Guess who says opossum? This guy. Welcome to the show. Lots of things are happening in the world that are seemingly paranormal in nature. There are more and more Bigfoot videos. There is the Miami Mall incident, which, if you want my take on the Miami Mall incident, I don't know if you do. But if you do, here's my mild to medium level temperature take on that. I don't do hot takes. Every once in a while I give you a hot take. But aliens don't travel through space-time to come try to kill and eat human beings. That's an opinion on the matter. That's not a scientifically based fact that I'm presenting to you. That is Ryan Singer's opinion. 12-foot tall alien creatures aren't going to go to a mall in Miami to try to eat teenagers or kill them. So that's where I stand on that. I mean, I got to tell you, any press is good press. That's what they say, right? So when it comes to the world of the paranormal, is any press good press? There are people who will lean into this situation and be like, well, I was actually having this, me and my buddies will start texting back and forth about any kind of like major potential paranormal happening in the world, right? Trying to get to the bottom of it or figure out or who knows what, and kind of like your system, your network of friends who are interested in this stuff. You share information to try to figure out what's going on. And I was texting with Karen Rontowski, Paranormal Karen, wonderful podcast. Check it out. Brilliant stand-up comedian. Wonderful, incredible investigator and tarot reader as well. We're texting back and forth about it, and she had some people that were former like Miami police officer. They didn't have any information. She was wondering if it could be holograms. I do wonder about you hear Dr. Stephen Greer and others talk about the great alien fright. There's not the red scare anymore, so maybe it's the gray scare or the green scare, whatever we want to call it, the UFO scare. Trying to scare people into being afraid of, what are, essentially, in my opinion, benevolent beings, or at the very least, ambivalent. I think that's the word. I think malevolent, benevolent, and ambivalent, right? Ambivalence in the middle, like, hey, we don't care either way. So my guess is that, let's say there was something happening at the Miami Mall. Clearly something happened. I do believe the story of and I'm not trying to be the old man cranky guy or whatever, like, how come there's no video of it? But how come there's no video of it? There's that one video, you can kind of see a thing, but what is it? We don't know. Anyway, are they holograms? Are they there just to try to incite fear and chaos and pandemonium building up? Is it like a psyop kind of thing? And that just gets so conspiratorial for me, and I just hate that stuff. I'm just really turned off by anything that starts going into like global conspiratorial talk. And even though I know that, it's potential, I believe in the possibility of anything, which is different than believing anything is possible, but I also believe anything is possible. Let's not mince words here. So that's not to say that that's not a component potentially of this whole thing, right? And me, I'm at least at this time, I'm already qualifying. I'm a big proponent of CE5 and Stephen Greer and, the peaceful contact and, set your parameters and set your boundaries. I cannot wait, by the way, to get down to this Florida investigation, because we're going to be out in the woods potentially doing, a variation of CE5 outside at this location, which is, it's kind of bonkers to even say that out loud. And why would I do that to myself? Why would you do it to yourself, John? I don't know who John is, but apparently somebody else is worried about him, because we just heard from that person. I'm just always worried. Okay, the over-worry Owen. Over-worry Owen? Over-worry Owen. That's just how I am. Oh, wow, there was a tremble. There was a quiver in your voice, Owen. I know. I just get so scared. Okay, Owen, it's okay. You don't have to be scared right now. We're just doing a podcast. There's a possum from hell running around outside, but other than that, we're doing okay. I just, oh gosh, I need an Ensure. You need an Ensure, a protein shake? It makes me feel better. Okay, go get it. Go get a vanilla or whatever flavor you like. Or strawberry shortcake. I'll be right here, Owen. Don't worry. I'm not leaving you. Okay, promise? Yes, I promise. I pinky swear. Oh, did I ever tell you about my thumb diamond? Promise. A lot of people like to do a pinky swear, and I'm gonna tell you, a pinky swear is pretty powerful. Okay, you break a pinky. You break. Did I just make up a word? If you break a pinky swear, that's unconscionable, actually, to do such a thing. But even more powerful of a promise is what I call the thumb diamond promise, where I'd have to be in person with you and I could show you what the thumb diamond promise is, but it's unbreakable like a diamond. Okay? Oh, that sounds good. Okay, so I thumb diamond promise, Owen. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Oh, getting back to the show. And I don't know who John was, Owen, but we'll have to talk about him later. He's my accountant. Oh, I guess it is tax season coming up. I wonder if Owen made any money last year. I know I did not. not make money. Okay, well, who knows? Who cares? We're not talking about how much money I make. I will tell you this. I'm alive and well, and all my bills are paid for the time being. But, I mean, there's so many bills. I'm under a mountain of bills. You know, seemingly being turned into a diamond myself by all the pressure. So this is going to be the year that all changes, right? And that's what we tell ourselves. You can listen to. I have a. In 2015, I released a stand-up comedy album called Immortal for Now, and there's a great joke on there. I just called my own joke great. What a jerk. Anyway, it's going to be my year. You can go back and listen to that. It's streaming everywhere. So what was I talking about? The mall thing. Potentially the holograms, the psyop, the trying to stoke the green scare of aliens, invasions, and UFOs, and malevolence, etc., possibly could be a component of what happened in Miami. I don't have the information, and quite frankly, I was on a family, a pretty intense, high activity laden family adventure. So I wasn't able to just deep dive into a lot of these things. And I feel like I've been traveling so much very, very recently. So I have a few days to wrap my brain around things right now. So who knows? Here in the next few days, I obviously will be getting more into it. There's other things I need to be, that are that are attracting my gaze, so to speak, that I need to dive into. But we'll get into that later. I think when it comes to, is it just a matter of time where something like this happens, where there are aliens walking amongst human beings? But yeah, I think so. What's the context, right? Let's do a thought experiment, okay, before people go off the rails about all this stuff. Let's do a thought experiment. You travel through space-time or time-space. Or, you know what, this reminds me of something. I know I get distracted, but it's okay. It's my show, right? Oh, man, I got to talk about montane forests as well. Okay, focus. If you listen to, I've talked about it so many times, and now I forget what it's even called. But there's talk about, we're not asking the right questions when it comes to the Pentagon's information that they've released about UFOs and, ATIP and ASWAP and all that other stuff, right? So, the person in charge of the whole program essentially was like, you just got to ask the right questions. The information is there for you to ask the right questions. No one's really asking the right questions. It's like, why are they here? What's their purpose? These are the questions that most people think of immediately, right? Like, what are they doing here? What do they want with us? Are they mean? Are they nice? Are they friendly, or what? I think a question you don't hear that often, and I was obsessed with this thought, and maybe it was because I was sick. Maybe, I don't know, what, I don't know how to diagnose, the sickness that I had recently, but, I didn't think I had a fever. And then one night I just kept getting hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. So maybe I did. I mean, I was up till 7 a.m, just thinking about this stuff, having hot thoughts. And I was thinking, oh my God, when were they here? I think that's the question. It's not when were they here. That's not the accurate question. I think the question we need to be asking is, when are they here? Not when were they, not when will they be here. The question is, when are they here? Now, this requires some, I don't know if Dr. Jeff Turan would call this psychological flexibility. Maybe it's intellectual flexibility. If you're anything like me, you struggle with the physical dimensions of time, right? I had a friend of mine describe it like a room, and imagine different points in time or just different spots in the room, right? Brent Weinbach described it to me like that many, many years ago. We did an interview about his experience with remote viewing, some studying he did about remote viewing. Brilliant stand-up comedian friend of mine, Brent Weinbach. Anyway, did you ever watch the world's first man birth video? Do you know what I'm talking about, that viral video that was on the internet a handful of years ago, maybe 5 years ago? Where there was like the world's first man birth was on video. I mean, obviously, if you know what I'm talking about, you know that was me giving birth. That was Brent Weinbach's brainchild for Moshe Kasher's Comedy Central show, which was unfortunately short-lived because it was a damn good show. Anyway, yeah, what am I talking about? Oh, we need some intellectual flexibility. I need intellectual flexibility and psychological flexibility when it comes to, or maybe just even comprehension flexibility. That's one of my big goals for 2024 is just overall flexibility, physical, psychological, intellectual, opinionated flexibility. I mean, I need to stop being such a dick sometimes when someone thinks something that is the complete opposite of what I believe. But anyway, we all can be that way sometimes. But I have a difficult time wrapping my brain around the physical dimensions of time, right? As a dimension, right? I understand space. Space is pretty good for me. Oh, I can move this box or this chair to a different part of this space, right? I understand the dimension of space, at least seemingly in my own mind. I feel like I understand it. Now, when thinking about time being a dimension, and I just start kind of becoming a spaghetti noodle head, right? And it's like my brain's just kind of like noodles in the wind. So I try my best. I've been reading over the years lots of different things about, immortality or forever or time and things like this, trying to just understand any more possible nuance to the concept of the time dimension. So, in a fevered moment of just, deep insight, this is where I go film noir again. He was sick. Or I was. God damn, fuck. Never mind. Forget the film noir part. We'll come back to it later in a more organic way. So, this is what I thought. I actually wrote it down on my phone. Let's see if I can find a timestamp on this note. 3:57 a.m. December 28th, 2023 at 3:57 a.m. All caps in blood on my phone. No, I'm just kidding. So this is the note. When are they here? Time and space and light and energy dimensions interacting layered on top of different timelines. We have polluted the united and destroyed the barriers. I think I screwed that up. I that's a typo. United. Oh man, that's right. I remember this now. I was in my mind. You know how we've polluted the ocean and there's trash islands? You know how we've already polluted space, or Elon Musk has polluted space single-handedly practically with all of his bullshit. What if we have polluted the dimensions with our nuclear explosions, our atomic bombs, etc., right? Or, I'm not one of these people like, we shouldn't be doing the super collider because we could be opening a portal to a different dimension. I'm not one of those people. But I will say this. There's always a but. He was talking about how there's always a but. And he thought about his own butt. Okay. So the point is, what if we have polluted dimensional space, interdimensional space? What if we are already polluting it? I'm going to talk about that and more after we do a quick break. Patrons, thank you so much for your continued support into the new year. 2024, it's going to be our best year yet. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary with major news announcements. Big news coming for the Me and Paranormal You universe. The Me and Paranormal universe. Big news from Milkshake Town coming soon. Anyway, so patrons, thank you so much for your continued support. Ad-free for $3 plus more stuff over there, over at the patreon.com. Unlock over 350 posts or something. I don't know, if you become a patron, you'll have access to all that good stuff. You'll be able to find the Wood Knocks audio from the 2019 investigation, all kinds of stuff. There's evidence videos and things like that. Things that have been personally shared with me that I don't put on the internet, only for patrons. So let's take that quick break. I'm going to lube up the throat and the talk pipe, and we're going to be right back talking about when they are here. Okay, so we're back. Thank you for either just clicking fast forward or sitting through the ads. I know. Trust me, I know. So when are they here? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about aliens, and we're talking about aliens, ultra-terrestrials, extraterrestrials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When are they here? Time and space and light and energy dimensions interacting, layered on top of different timelines. Have we polluted the unified field? Maybe that's what I was getting at when I wrote united, and destroyed the barriers. Have we broken down the barriers separating? Have we destroyed the barriers separating the dimensions? Have we? Ask yourself this: as the atomic bomb has the nuclear weaponage, has it polluted and degraded essentially the ozone layer separating the interdimensional dimensions? I don't know who that was. They don't need to come back. But why? Oh, please. I don't have time to explain why you're not going to be back. Oh, well, that's just too bad, because I think people like me. Well, that's for the people to decide. Maybe we'll take a vote of which characters need to be talking more on the program. I can't even remember all your names. Okay, Owen, please. There's 3 of us here now. You two go hang out, and I'll do the show. So what if but you do bring a good point. Bombastic Barry, I guess I'll call you. Oh, I like that. I knew you would, because you're very bombastic, Mr. Madame. Okay. So what if there's like an ozone layer, essentially, as a barrier, a protective barrier, keeping the dimensions separate, not because it's like dangerous, but it's just like a natural like striation or a natural layering of dimensions in some way within themselves. You know, don't think of it like a 7-layer cake necessarily, but maybe it's like that. I don't know. But they're all like layered on top of each other, within each other, at the same place, at the same time, at different times, but not even non-local. Oh, which reminds me, there's a research contest. Ions is doing their annual research contest, and it has something to do with non-locality. Maybe I'll post a link. If you're an independent researcher and you want to try to win like the prize for the research, your research will be due, your research findings or paper will be due on March 31st, I believe. Institute of Noetic Sciences. That's what IONS is. So they've got this new thing called Sigil that they're going to be doing, which maybe I'll talk about that later. I'm on their mailing list. You don't have to be like in the know to know this. You can just enter your email into a magic box on a website, and you can get the same information. So have we essentially, through whether it's nuclear testing, atomic bombs, et cetera, all these other things, have we polluted, I guess is a word we can use, to the point where we've degraded the barriers, or we've destroyed the barriers, or at the very least, we've weakened the barriers between dimensions? And is that allowing for more paranormal activity to be occurring in this dimension, what we would call our dimension of space, time, light, and energy? Apparently, I'm over here thinking that there is time and space and light and energy dimensions. So that's 4 dimensions right there. So, I mean, because I do believe that the only, that thought travels faster than the speed of light. And I do believe that there is some kind of energetic dimension. I talked with Dr. Roger Nelson recently. You can go back and listen to that. It's a wonderful interview from just a few weeks ago. And he talked about the expletive and the implicate, the explicate and the implicate. Excuse me. Gosh. I should really kind of maybe reference some notes or something at some point instead of just hitting record and talking and seeing what happens. But I mean, is that part of the charm? Okay, moving on. So the implicate and the explicate. And what's interesting is energetically on some level, maybe we have these, interdimensional beings, which, maybe we have our interdimensional self, right? It's like a non-local energetic body that is associated with this physical body we have in this dimension. So something happens there, something happens here. One affects the other, right? Think of it as if we can think of it like we have a tether, right? There's a tether between us. And think of, you have your physical body, what you look like probably to a certain degree, or at least you have an idea, even if you're blind, you have an idea of like what your physical body feels like generally. And so you have that in your mind's eye. Now imagine there's an astral cord, and then it goes through this, this wall essentially that is separating this dimension from the energetic dimension. And now you see some people might call it your higher self or just your energetic body. It's just particles of energy and maybe even light. So if that helps you, think of it like you're a light bright. So if you're old enough to remember what a light bright is, think of like what you would look like. Close your eyes and think about that. That's a fun little exercise. Like if you were to close your eyes and think, I'm doing it right now, and you had to build your energetic body and self out of light bright lights. Would you give yourself human shape? Would you still be like a bipedal creature with 2 arms standing upright? Or would you be a ball, or would you be a triangle, or would you kind of be an amorphous blob of light? What would you be? I tend to go with traditional like physical form, like a bipedal creature, but I'm very, very varied. I'm very varied. I have much variation in the color of light. It would be kind of cool to associate the lights with your energetic body with, typical colors that are associated with the chakras of the body. That could be an interesting thing. Maybe that's what you're doing. Or maybe you're associating a general color with your astrological sign. If you're an earth sign, maybe it's more earthy colors. If you're a water sign like me, you know what I mean? The best sign, Cancer. Maybe it's more pastels and blue and beachy because of the water. Although, we have many different aspects of our astrological selves. So I'm also Sagittarius, and Taurus rising. So let's keep in mind it's a pretty great combination of things. So I'm on one in many different ways, it turns out. So, okay, I'm getting carried away with this energetic body exercise, but it is really fun to think about your energetic body. So think about your energetic body. That could be in another dimension, and it essentially is. And I'm thinking of the non-local, not the non-local, but I'm thinking of the Heisenberg experiment, or the split, the slot. Why am I not remembering the name of this? It's one of the things. It's like it's a big us paranormal folks. We love this one. It's like the observation experiment, how things behave differently when observed than when they're not observed. Even though, how do you know something behaves differently when it's not observed? Because to know that, one must be observing it in a way that's not observing it. That has always been such a conundrum for me. Such an enigma, right? To try to understand that. The split slit, whatever, something like that. The split slits or something. That sounds dirty, what I'm saying. I'm trying to be scientific, but science is dirty. Okay, who is that? We're not doing that. Okay, that's not this kind of show. This is a show. This isn't an adult rated. I mean, it is because I use language, but but science can be dirty. Okay, no, we don't need filthy scientists to show up. But did you think? No, I didn't think about anything. Please go hang out with Owen and Bombastic Barry. Overworry Owen, and Bombastic Barry, I believe, are the names of the characters who have already shown up for the very first time ever in the year 2024. I guess is a good year for new characters to show up. So what I'm saying is, we've got these different dimensions potentially, right? Maybe the energy dimension has our energy selves. Maybe that's where our energetic bodies are. And I think when people are into somatic work, which is badass and incredible and really cool, and I've had many different people on here talking about their work as well. That kind of deals, we've talked about the, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, quantum, at the quantum level. But somatic therapy, I mean, it's a type of therapy that's like, it's got this synthesis between the mind and the body, right? It helps process trauma, that gets stored in the body, which, our bodies basically are just refrigerators for experiences, just keeping these things fresh for us, unfortunately, sometimes. Anyway, so we have these energetic bodies, and then we also have our physical body. I know I've said this 1,000 times. So have we potentially, through whatever actions, unintentional or even intentional, broken down the barriers between these things? And will we continue to do so in a way that makes these dimensions start bleeding into one another in ways that are intentional and unintentional? When one is doing paranormal investigation work or doing seance, or performing a seance, mediumship, potentially even clairvoyant work, CE5, all these things, are we not intentionally trying to reach across dimensions potentially here, right? I just said potentially twice, I think. Anyway, you know what I mean. So some of us are trying to reach across and reach through. It has many names. Thinning the veil is one of them. I say many names, and that's the only one I can think of. Is it possible that the increase in the number of people trying to reach across dimensions, connecting with their energetic selves, their spiritual selves, their light selves, has broken down the barrier for all of us, for the entire world, made it more accessible? And with this accessibility comes accidental experience. Spontaneous paranormal experiences, SPEs, happen quite regularly, and I would argue are Oftentimes, the most profound of all paranormal experiences are supernatural experiences when we're not expecting them. They can be life-changing. They can shift a paradigm in a major way. It's something to think about. So in regards to what are the questions that we are not asking, okay, we're circling back to that. Gosh, I took you on the scenic route on this one, didn't I? What is the question, or what are the questions that we are not asking in regards to the work that the U.S. government is willing to discuss with UFOs and NBEs, non-biological entities, as they're called? Aliens. Can we just call them aliens? I think that question is, when are they here? And this gets into, like I said, the conundrum that I have of being able to wrap my brain around the dimension of time, trying to understand what that even means, and that what does that question even mean? So when are they here? They could be here right now. This is going to get tricky. I'm just giving you a heads up. They could be here right now, and it's totally different time for them. So they could be here right now, but we could be interacting with them, and they're in the future and we're in the past, and neither one of us are in the moment, even though what's happening in the interaction is in its own moment. It's creating its own moment of now, but it'll be their past, our future, their past, and their future, our past, potentially. You see what I mean? So we have recovered spacecraft. We've been inside of it. This has been admitted to on the record or publicly. Now, this spacecraft, is it from the past? Is it from the future? Is it from now? One would say, well, it's from now, Ryan, because we have it right now. Well, yes, but we don't understand how time works. We don't have a full comprehension, potentially. At least I don't, and never have, and I don't want to say never will, because that's a time question. And also, I'm not trying to own that story. So, when are they here? And then once we understand that, I think we can start to understand other potential. What are the implications of such a thing? Because if they're from 5,000 years in the future, or at least our future on a linear timeline, that tells you a lot. That tells you that 5,000 years from now, there is intelligent life somewhere else that traverses space-time to get to Earth. And for whatever reason, we are back in their time. It doesn't really make sense. And need I remind you, I wrote this down December 28th of last year, 2023, at 3:57 a.m. in a fever. When are they here? Time and space and light and energy dimensions interacting, layered on top of different timelines. Have we destroyed the barriers? I guess it's a fair question. This is what people would call, I don't even know the word because I'm so adverse to even using it. Gobbledygook. What is it, like spaghetti, word spaghetti or whatever? That's how Trump talks. Just throws a bunch of words together and sees what happens. Pseudoscience. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. The people were like, what is he even talking about? And that's a very good question. I'm trying to understand and trying to figure out, because over here at the show, over here at Me and Paranormal Universe, in Me and Paranormal University, why am I just now, after 10 years, thinking of these fun little plays on Me and Paranormal University and Universe? Over here at Me and Paranormal University, our students are instructed to open their mind open their mind so far that their brain falls out. That old adage. Adage. That's a thing I just remembered. Okay, so over here at the show, there's a couple we got a couple working theories that we're hoping to get to the bottom of in 2024. This is our mission statement for the year. We are going to figure out if, in fact, the theory that I have is correct, that portals are sentient. Then we're going to figure out, when are they here? When are the aliens here? And then we're going to figure out, how do I pay off my credit cards? These are the three things that we're going to do this year. 2024, what a big year. What a large year it's going to be. This year is going to have large S to it, one might say. I think, oh my God, here's a dad joke. I'm looking through my notes to see if I had any more paranormal insights. The plains asked the mountain, "Why do you give me so much altitude?" You're always giving me altitude here. Relax. Okay, so there's a dad joke I wrote, even though I'm not a father. So, will I be a father someday in the past? Will I be a father in the past? I mean, what does time even mean, right? So, I think when it comes to trying to understand, these paranormal events that are happening allegedly all around us, we have to show discernment. I think we've talked about this a little bit. I guess it's always good to revisit. I should have revisited to even know what I said, to try to understand, like, do I still believe the same thing? But we show discernment. We don't jump to conclusions. We obviously don't have, satanic panic, or, let the green scare happen to us. At least this is my motto. This is how I'm operating, because they're just not going to travel through time and space and then show up at a mall and try to eat and kill or whatever teenagers. That's just, you think their first time they're going to show themselves is at Hot Topic in Miami and South Beach? Listen, this is like straight out of Stranger Things. The more you think about it, the more ridiculous it becomes. When you actually lay this out and start thinking about it, and people are like, well, Ryan, if they wanted to, kill a bunch of people, a mall would be a great place. A highly populated mall area would be great. And Ron Talsky was texting me that her friends were like, hey, it's Miami. This is nothing strange. Stranger things happening every day than that. But I don't live in Miami, and I've spent very little time there, if any time. So I can't speak to how weird people in Miami might be. But if you really start thinking about this and laying it out, you start to understand how ridiculous it becomes and sounds. And maybe that's the beauty of a real event happening, that it sounds so ridiculous, but not in a you're crazy, aliens aren't real kind of way, but in a practical manner. It sounds ridiculous, right? Because clearly I believe in aliens. I just don't think they'd show up at Hot Topic in South Beach on a Friday, Saturday night, or whatever night it was, and that nobody would have a video of it. That is enough for me to be convinced. And there is people talking about, everybody's phones got wiped, and do we have the technology to do that? I don't know. Potentially, probably, who knows? But then didn't wipe everybody. I'm just saying, that's their grand entrance. That's their hello, Earth, we are here. At the food court, at a Sbarro and Panda Express. And people are just shooting at them, apparently. Like, I guess everybody just has a gun at the mall in Miami. And then the cover story, and see, here's the thing. It's like, the cover story, it's a lie about all these kids setting off fireworks and getting into fights and stuff. Well, fireworks sound like gunshots. And anyway, I have fired a gun and I have set off fireworks before. Both of them make me jumpy. So, the more you lay it out, the more ridiculous it sounds, in my opinion. that it is actually something that happened. I mean, we've had a couple close calls in the last 6 months. The Colorado Bigfoot from the train, I really wanted to think that was a good one. I really, really did. I was hopeful for that. This Miami thing, I was not hopeful for just because of the context that it was being presented, that they were malevolent and trying to kill people. So I was not hopeful that this was real. Does that inform my opinion moving forward and am I trying to disprove it as opposed to just trying to understand if it's real or not real? Yeah, probably, because I'm a human being and that's how we work. I have judgment and I have bias. So, knowing that, I could be wrong. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with, I'm not fine with being wrong. What I mean is I can admit that. I can admit that I could be wrong. So, yeah, I think the Miami Mall thing is much ado about nothing. Unfortunately, the Colorado Bigfoot from the train was also much ado about nothing. There is evidence in the world of paranormal phenomena. And the trickster, unfortunately, finds itself playing a prominent role in delegitimizing much of the very compelling evidence that exists by creating essentially a surplus of bogus and just hoaxy type things. Now, someone can find something or capture something that's strange or weird happening on camera. The world can then take that and frame it in a way, trying to make everyone think that, was this aliens? That potentially could have happened here. I don't think this was some kind of grand conspiracy to try to make people think that aliens were here attacking people. I think something happened at this mall. Likely the fireworks, the juveniles, and everybody getting into fights or whatever. All those cop cars show up. And then the world starts going, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Oh, there's aliens. Did you hear that there's aliens? I heard there was aliens. I mean, we've played the telephone game before. You know how things happen. I mean, you could go from one side of your living room to the next, starting with like the pizza had pepperoni on it. And by the time Aunt Janet hears it, she's like, the president pooped on a plane? It's like, no, the pepperoni pizza. The pizza has pepperoni on it. Oh, I heard the president poops on a plane. Okay, so yeah, it's a telephone game. So I don't think that there was some kind of grand conspiracy to try to make people think that there's an alien invasion at a mall in Miami. I think that something weird was happening at a mall in Miami, and then the world kind of ran with it, and people started just kind of telephone gaming it and spreading it around. Due to the viral nature of the internet and the way things happen, this is just a side effect that we have to deal with in the modern digital age, in the information age, and that's just part of it, especially when it comes to the world of the paranormal. And now that soft disclosure has seemingly started a few years ago, this is what we're dealing with, because we know now that there are other possibilities to what we've been or what we've understood or believed. And I also don't think this grand conspiracy about the government trying to make everyone never believe in aliens and all that kind of stuff. The government doesn't need to do it, because guess what? Your neighbor does it for you. Your parents will do it. Your friends will do it. Will call you stupid for believing in shapeshifters or aliens or Bigfoot. We don't need the government to try to be like, you're stupid, none of this stuff is real. People always want to blame them, or they don't want you to know the truth, when in fact it's your neighbor, it's your friend, it's your family. We are already doing that. They don't have to. Do you understand? I think I just get so upset about this. It's been this like really long form propaganda campaign against government, the word government. And government is essential in the lives of human beings, because that is how large populations of people are able to have services and get things done. And the idea that government is a bad word, it's just, I'm just so over it because it's an uneducated view, in my opinion, of the way the world works. Because once we reach a certain population size, it's impossible for everyone to have input on every single thing. That's why we elect representatives who are supposed to represent what we say. And that's why it's important to call and or write emails to your representatives about the things you believe in. Okay, that's my political piece. People are like, why would I call? It's because they represent you. They need to know what you think in this matter. And trust me, when they are overwhelmed with phone calls and emails about a certain thing, guess what they do? They are beholden to the office to represent the people and will go with the people's voice. Because guess what if they don't? Who doesn't have a job next election cycle? That person who never listens to the people that they're supposed to be listening to and representing in government. Anyway, so we don't need the government to try to silence or shush people or shame people for believing in things, because we've been doing that to each other forever. We've been raised in, these monotheistic religions, many of which are extremely oppressive, and to different groups of people, namely women, mostly, and to try to close us off to believing things or being able to believe things other than what we're taught. That's just kind of like a way of human living, right? And human nature and history, because we have to have a certain kind of understanding of the world we live in to survive it in a way that makes us not feel like we're going crazy all the time, right? So not all this stuff is malevolent. These are necessary things and tools that we've used over time, over hundreds and thousands of years, to try to ensure our own survival and, our safety and peace of mind. And then these things get exploited and taken to extremes, and we end up in bad situations. But now that soft disclosure is happening, more and more people are understanding that they've been having the shackles of closed-mindedness wrapped around their vocal cords. And the key has been in their hand the whole time to unlock this shackle, to free their mind and also free their voice. And that's what we're doing here. We're just trying to let people know it's okay to believe in stuff, okay? Now, what you do with that belief is a whole nother thing. But are you open-minded? I think you are. If you're listening to this show, you're probably very open-minded. At me and Paranormal University, we like to pride ourselves on the open-mindedness of all of our, of everyone who matriculates here. This is not a university. I'm not teaching people anything. Let's be very clear about that. If anything, I'm trying to teach myself how to fit in with the humans. I don't need you over here, Bombastic Barry. Don't you even think about coming in right now. And there was a third person who showed up. Oh, Filthy Scientist. I don't need Filthy Scientist ever to come back on this show. Although, I'm not going to lie to you. For comedic value and effect, Filthy Scientist probably might be definitely my favorite character that's ever even tried to become a part of this show. Filthy Scientist. I got a beaker over. I don't need to know if you got a beaker over here. Okay? That is... For all of our sake, let's hope Filthy Scientist is gone for good. I don't even want to know. I don't even, there's so many possibilities there. And we don't need to explore those possibilities. So yeah, I think what we've figured out here today is that we need to figure out when the aliens are here, and we need to figure out, there was three things. What were they? How do I get out of credit card debt? And the third one was God, wow, it's gone already. It's gone. It's gone from my mind. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to try to figure out what it was. How do I not remember that? That's amazing. It's not that I forgot, it's just that I don't remember. Do you know what I mean? I think you do. But yeah, so we're going to figure out when they're here. We're also going to, just remind ourselves to, be kind to one another, because belief and sharing, unorthodox experiences can be scary, and it can be uncomfortable for many of us to do so. I mean, I still have friends that I don't talk about paranormal stuff with because they don't want to, right? They just don't want to hear it. And I'm not here for that. I'm not going to just talk to my, close friends who just don't believe in any of this stuff, right? They don't want to. What am I going to do? Talk to them about it and be like, you got to believe. Like, I don't care if they believe. I don't need to talk. I mean, obviously we're friends for a reason. And this is just not a component of our friendship. And that's fine. I've got other friends that I don't talk about baseball cards with because they don't care about baseball cards at all. So that's fine. Now, the paranormal is a little bit bigger than baseball cards, but because we're talking about, potentially the biggest things that could change the course of human history and life forever. Baseball cards aren't going to do that. Well, famous last words, right? What if baseball cards are actually, each baseball card is a portal to a different dimension and we didn't realize it? The point is, we just have to be, let's take a breath. Let's be kind. There's so much road rage on the highway. Everybody's in a hurry to get things done Alabama style. They rush until life's no fun. I just don't get it. I don't get it. People just, they just need to get somewhere to do nothing. It's wild, man. It's wild. I think, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to come off as cruel because I've had road rage before, but I think when we experience, that's the way to do it. I envelop myself into the conversation. When we experience road rage, it's because in that moment we are participating in the rat race. And we feel like we're losing the rat race in those moments. Or we're just super tired or super hungry. We're hangry or we're sleep deprived. Those are two big things as well. So let's be kind to one another. Let's, and most importantly, let's try to be kind to ourselves, especially when we start to doubt our paranormal experiences or we start to question our paranormal outside the box beliefs. We also have the skeptic and the judger. The judger, that voice is like, yeah, you really are just kind of losing your mind. What's wrong with you that you would believe this, that you would spend 10 years on a podcast talking about alchemy and chupacabra? This is what you've done with your life? See, that's the judger. And the judger can be so cruel, right? Oh, you think I'm cruel? You just are a child. See, that's the judger. And we don't need the judger. I'll get Bombastic Barry over here, and we'll kick the judger right out the door. Filthy Scientist doesn't even like the judger. Never have. Thank you, Filthy Scientist. I knew you didn't. We don't need the judger in our lives anymore. Keep them at bay. Or at least, I don't know, what do they call it in a thing? It's like we need to re-educate them. We need to re-educate the judge. We need to rehabilitate the judgers in our minds. So be kind to yourself. And because that's, you can't love someone else truly unless you love yourself. I don't think you can't be kind to other people unless you're kind to yourself as well. I mean, you can, but gosh, 2024, let's try to turn the knob up on the kindness. God, I love you, and I hope you love yourself. And I hope to see you at a live show. Indianapolis, Indiana, January 17th with Stuart Huff. What a show. Jeez. And it's free. Are you kidding me? And then January 27th, I'll be in Columbus, Ohio at the Attic Columbus doing a show. That's not free. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding. RyanSingerComedy.com. It's got all the details. Ryan Sing on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, Ryan Singer Comedy. I reached enough followers where I can go live on TikTok now. So I'll probably be doing some live. I'll be incorporating some components of live into my TikTok, potentially on the Florida investigation as well. Good news on most fronts. On the Florida investigation, I'll keep you posted on that. All of that's coming together. The planning phase is coming together nicely. So very excited about that. I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you for listening. Patreon.com/Ryan Singer. $3 a month gets you no commercials. And if I don't see you at a comedy show or on the internet, I'll just see you at the watering hole on the astral plane.